Hi, everybody. I'm Dana Brown. I am an associate professor of opera and vocal coaching at the CCPA and the current chair of the music faculty. I am very happy to be part of the How Did I Get Here series. I have been the interviewer for this series many times, but I have never been asked the questions. So it's fun to be on the other side. I'm very fortunate that I was the son of two musicians. My mother was a very fine pianist, a piano teacher, a violinist, and a singer. My father was a singer and choral conductor. I just could not be more grateful that I grew up with two role models as musicians and also as fantastic human beings. They died when I was in my mid-20s, but that still means that I think about them on a regular basis. They are very much with me. The lessons that I learned from them are vast and wide. I have a little bit of an unconventional path, at least in terms of training in the United States, in that my doctorate is in collaborative piano, but I have 2 degrees before that in solo piano. And I grew up thinking that I was going to be a solo pianist, and I still play solo piano on a regular basis and still take lessons. So it's not far from the ilk in which I grew up. After I moved to Chicago in my mid-20s, I was in this wonderful amalgam time where my musicianship was being shaped by being in the Civic Orchestra, taking lessons with Mary Sauer, the then pianist of the Chicago Symphony, and still my teacher to this day. She was a student of Rudolph Gans. So my legacy at Roosevelt is connected to the Rudolph Gans legacy of students. I still learn a great deal from Mary. She kicks my butt on a regular basis. And I find when I come back from those lessons that my perspective has changed. I was teaching piano, which I still do to this day. I was working outside of music for a while, which was a whole experiment and kind of a really good chapter for me to realize how much I needed music to be my profession. And also, that was the period of time in which I started to become a church musician, a job I absolutely hated when I started, but it was a profession from which I learned a great deal. I was a church musician for 15 years total at 2 different churches, and I can't even put a price on the lessons that I learned, not only about producing music on a regular basis and organizing myself and my groups in order to be able to perform during worship services, but all of the people skills that go into being a church music director were invaluable to me. Having a church job is not just about making money and not just about being able to pay your bills. It could be an opportunity for you to really solidify your skills as a musician and being able to express what music means and what music is to other people on a regular basis is such good practice. One of the skills that applies directly to vocal coaching for me is that I have no problem coaching a group of singers all at the same time and working with ensembles and working with soloists and ensembles. And so much of that ease that I have, it was developed as a church musician. If there's any failure that I'm going to talk about, there is one particular story that has stuck with me. In my mid-20s, I went to audition at the University of Southern California for a doctorate in solo piano. I wasn't even granted the audition for the assistantship after I played. The audition had gone okay, and I was very surprised that they told me that I wasn't going to be able to go on. On that very long plane ride home, I determined that I was not going to let someone else determine my success as a musician. It made me dig my heels in, A, about deciding who I was going to be, and B, deciding that other people were not going to determine success for me. I share that story with my students on a regular basis because we so often fall into the trap of letting other people define our success and really define who we are as musicians. And I don't think those things can necessarily be determined while you're in school. I think school is just one of the stepping stones along the path. It's dangerous to put people in too many boxes about this or that. I think one of our jobs as educators is to help people realize their potential and realize what the opportunities are for them. To this day, I do call myself a vocal coach and a music educator because I've gotten into a little bit of trouble sometimes explaining to lay people, as it were, what a vocal coach actually does. Now, I do enjoy working with singers tremendously. One of the aspects of working with singers that I enjoy is that no two singers are exactly alike. Each singer has their own imprint of a voice. Each singer has their own imprint of a personality that they bring into performing. And kind of unlocking that is one of the great joys of what I do at the CCPA. I coach the graduate operas along with several other people. I also coach graduate students and undergraduates in working toward their juries and their recitals at the school. Every fall, I'm always very intrigued about the new people that I get and people with whom I haven't necessarily worked, and getting to know how their mind works, how their voice works, etc. I consider that one of the great opportunities that I have in my position. Outside of music, I think it's very important to have work-life balance. There's nothing better than I like to talk about than is professional tennis. I am a tennis junkie and know who all the players are. Rafael Nadal is one of my personal heroes. Outside of that, I love film and I love theater. I love enjoying all of the various aspects that Chicago has to offer. There is a wonderful cultural life that is hard to reproduce in other cities in the United States. With regard to work-life balance, I do find that working hard is like exercising a muscle. Occasionally it needs to relax. So that's part of the reasons why I still take solo piano lessons, is because it takes me away from my job. It's one of the reasons that I still play tennis on a regular basis. Not only is it fantastic exercise, but it's also a fantastic avocation outside of making music. So anyway, it's great to share this with you today. I'm recording this during the COVID-19 crisis, and I'm thinking about all my students and my colleagues at the school during this difficult time. Nice to talk with you. Thank you.